In esports, the classic showdown is North America versus Europe. And this is pretty true even in Siege. When it comes to the total trophy count of Six Invitationals and other big trophies, typically you look at North America and EU as the classic breadwinners of Siege. But there's one thing that North America has over Europe that the Europeans will never be able to beat or one-up or absolutely compete with ever. That's Xbox, baby. Now, Laxings and Skies are two very legendary players in the world of Siege, particularly in North America, but the crown jewel in their trophy case is a hammer. And that hammer is from console. That's right, Laxings and Skies won the first and only Xbox Six Invitational, and Europe can never have it. To get started, before we get into this proper, before we do Siege history, we have to go over something really, really obvious. Get the obvious out of the way. If you're a PC pleb like I was before I started watching this stuff and thought that Xbox would be boring because there's no aim assist and because it's old Siege, it's going to be jank and they can't lean while on ADS, get that out of your head. Xbox is hype as hell. Now, yes, the play is messier.
Really entertaining to watch.
Bios at the bottom of the stairs.
The best part is like...
Go back.
But when you actually look at it and you watch the games, it's actually hype as hell. It's very exciting Siege, and that messiness kind of makes it more exciting in a way. It's a little bit more electric. It's kind of like COD. You know, console COD isn't actually the highest level of Call of Duty that you could see, but it's still really entertaining, and a lot of that passion and character that the console esports are so well known for, you can see a lot of that passion and character translate to the Siege console players as well. It also helps that the crowd at the first ever Six Invitational was really good. I swear to God, this esport, Rainbow Six, we have some of the best crowds in all of esports, even when we have a half-full venue. The original Invitational had 6 teams. 1 invite from North America, 1 invite from Europe, 1 qualifying team from North America, and 1 qualifying team from Europe, and then 1 Latin American team and 1 APAC team. This was the first time ever that Latin America and APAC were introduced formally into the ESL Pro League circuit. That said, there is an asterisk around the console portion of SI, in part because MIBR could not make it to the tournament due to visa issues, and in their place, Supremacy, the French team, who had Bibu, Rafal, and others, replacing them last minute. Elevate. The North American Invite team, a combination of the core of excellence who was at the previous 3 Pro League finals throughout the past year, so that's Skies, Laxing, in England, but also the recent pickups of Fighter and Bosco. Excellence had gone to the Year 1 Season 3 finals, but they had been eliminated in the quarterfinals by a European team. They wanted revenge coming into this event. This was the first ever Six Invitational, and Ubisoft was making the stakes and the importance of this particular tournament known. Game 1, Lethal Gaming versus Mindfreak. This is NA versus the Aussies. Lethal has a few names that you might recognize easily, Rams, Kens, but as far as this match is concerned, there isn't that much to talk about. The Aussies were not at the level of Lethal, not at the level of Global Siege yet, and it showed. Lethal was kind of running through them, and while it was a great display of how skilled players like Kens and Bones were and just how much they could frag out, it wasn't really a close match at all. Your boy Dizzle was on Mindfreak, but he didn't have the coaching buff, so it makes sense that APAC would lose 2-0 in this fashion. Next up, Lucky 7 versus Supremacy. This is not only an EU versus EU match, which should have been EU versus LATAM, but this is a regional rivalry between 2 French teams, which actually, all the EU teams at SI were French. Wait, what's up with that? Bro, there were 5 French teams and 2 UK teams in the last Pro Leagues. What the fuck? Did France own console Siege? What the hell, dude?
Who the fuck you think you fucking with? I run shit here. You just live here.
Lucky 7 versus Supremacy was a back and forth affair. It was a 3-mapper with multiple overtimes, and while Supremacy comes out ahead, it was a pretty fun match to watch overall. Supremacy had Zephyr, who was not only an aggressive Jaeger player, but a very skilled player to actually back up all those plays. Bibu and Rafal were also there, and this is back when Bibu was a fragger, which in its own right is enjoyable to see. That said, Supremacy proceeds, and now one EU team and one APAC team are eliminated. 2 NA teams remain, 2 EU teams remain. In the semifinals, Vitality versus Lethal. This is the reigning Pro League champions versus some NA team. That's not me being disrespectful. Lethal was 6th in Year 1 Season 3. They were, as far as the international stage is concerned, a no-name team. This match is actually a banger. Unironically, I think this is the best match of the tournament. Like, if you want to watch a very competitive console match that shows you how hype and how exciting this type of siege could be, this is the game to watch for my money. Round count-wise, it wasn't that close, but that's the case with a lot of these matches. But the individual rounds were very, very exciting, and I think that Bloodbath did some of his best casting work at this event and in this game.
It's still a 2-on-1 now, and it looks like it's gonna be in favor here. Crisco good for 1, but cannot land it. You're gonna have Ducky's running on in blind. He will fall, and it looks like it's gonna be Bones against Crisco. 1-on-1 here. Wallbang's gonna happen close up on the right side is where Crisco's gonna be. He gets the kill.
Vitality got pushed to the limits.
Lethal taking map number 2, definitely not out of the race yet. We're seeing them compete with one of the best European teams, if not the best European team around.
And the crowd was awesome. Even with the tech pauses and this being the last game of that playday.
I think if we have too many delays here, we're going to end up with a riot on our hands at this rate.
Now, with all that out of the way, Vitality, the French players, with Furious G, I didn't realize how good he was, but Furious G is actually kind of nasty on the sticks.
So in Siege, there's you can lean, right?
He just ego challenged a Blackbeard when he has 3 stims.
In Siege,
He was a very, very good player before he turned into the French caster that he is nowadays. So, fun bit of trivia, Furious G, the French caster, kind of nasty with it. And being so nasty, Vitality beat Lethal Gaming 2-1.
Off by Crisco. It is now 2 men left on the Lethal game to keep them going. One going alive is going to be Bones. 4-on-1. He's waiting crossfire, and it looks like the shots are going to go towards his feet. He doesn't know where to go, and the shot's laying down.
Now, the second semifinal. Elevate versus Supremacy. Supremacy wasn't even supposed to be here. You know, we established that MIBR did not get here due to visa issues. Supremacy was a last-second invite. They're here, they beat Lucky 7, but, you know, they're up against NA's best. Elevate has a chip on their shoulder because the French sent them home from last Pro League finals. And this is another good match. Though, once again, the scoreline wouldn't tell you that. That's kind of a trend with this whole tournament, though, because while there are a few maps and a few matches that have some overtimes, I wouldn't say those are the good matches. But the ones with the less close scorelines, ironically enough, had the more competitive rounds. It's a really interesting paradox, as it were. Now, you get to see a lot of these young players, these legendary players, in younger, less polished states. Bosco, he's not the Bosco that we know, but he's just a kid, and you're seeing flashes of that greatness, flashes of that clutch gene. Laxing, he's not the absolute rat that we associate with his playstyle, but you can kind of see where he's going. Skies, he's not the hard support that we typically associate him as nowadays. He's actually the entry for this team.
As they do peek out from the back tower, Skies has dropped now 2 and jumps back in.
Beyond those 3 that everyone knows about, if you look at England and Fighter, those 2 in particular are pretty interesting because England, he had a pretty good Pro League career, and in this team in particular, he was doing work on the hard support roles, which is not easy, especially for the time.
And put it down again. Bibu now putting it through. Echo still alive, a push forward from England. We'll find one, gets the second one, and then the third one. England goes massive!
And Fighter was especially fun to watch just because he had so much impact, even though we really don't see him after this point in time.
The jump outside from Pulse will land on Fighter's head, but Bibu cannot get the kill.
It's competitive, and the French push the North Americans pretty hard.
I'll have a lot of health here. Rafael can do it with his pistol. Who's going to come out on top? Rafael!
That said, Elevate wins out.
Drops into kitchen and Skies is in dining room to shut him down. It's all on Spark now in a 1v3. He's got less than half the bomb time left to go. He can't even get one.
And that sends Elevate to the Grand Finals against Vitality 2-1. The Grand Finals is North America versus EU. Again, the classic, El Clasico. NA versus France. Again, because that's all EU Pro League is at this point in time. But this tournament and this finals has a little bit of added spice that other tournaments and other Pro League finals didn't have and would not be able to have. Because North America had won 2 Pro League finals in this year, both of which were all NA finals. It was NA versus NA, no matter what, North America profited. But in year 1, season 3, the last Pro League season, Vitality and Supremacy put on an all-French Pro League finals, which meant that Vitality was now 2 NA, 1 EU. The Six Invitational was going to decide whether or not Europe tied up North America heading into year 2 of Siege, or if America would have a strong lead over the European console Siege heading into the second year. Would Furious G and the Frenchies be able to match Fighter's 2 Pro League finishes? Or would Fighter lead 3-1? But more than all that, more than the macro stakes and the big picture, the real reason that this match matters is because it's a grudge match. Remember when I said that Skies and Laxings were eliminated from the last Pro League finals by a French team? Take a gander at which team that was. For Skies and Lax in England, this is just as much about getting revenge as it was about lifting the hammer. What follows is one of the most one-sided games I've seen.
A lot from these players. Might be trying to counter a pulse.
Now right out there, Sky's gonna get the first kill of 5-on-1. What a tremendous start here for Elevate. Last man alive, looks like he's gonna be out inside of the main hallway. Goes for the drop shot right there. Skies gets another kill. It looks as though we're gonna have Capitec getting picked back up, but we do have Fighter coming around from the side, but he'll be getting a double kill. Gotta come out of bathroom though. England's gonna look for the shots here. Furious G goes for the wall bang, will not get it, and we've got a 2-on-2 here. Right now, Furious G gets the wall bang. He just has to go against Blackbeard. The head shield and 60 health. He knows he's coming out. He goes for the rush, and he doesn't get it. And we're gonna have Elevate in a 5-0 for map number 1. Now Mute is inside of the bomb site. That looks like he's going to be in B. Crisco gets 1. He's going to hop out, hopefully not get detected. Laxi get a turnaround. He gets shot a little bit. He'll be killed off by Bios. And we're going to see a 2-on-1 with 10 seconds left. Fighter gets 1. He now knows it's a 1-on-1. He's going to go for the defuse behind the wall. Crisco needs to move in. There's 3 seconds. This is his cue. He knows it's going to happen. He's going to look to the right, not see anyone. He's going to look to the left. And it looks like a little fight here. Fighter is going to make it 2-0. Skies is now looking. He's got a good can there. They didn't destroy yet. He's going to go for the shots. He's looking on down. Very aggressive. He takes down 1. He's going to get spotted. He comes back up without getting killed. Fighter's going to be another one to take down Lion. And Lion has been spotted out. And it looks like Fighter gets 1 kill here on the Furious G. He gets another on the Anthrax from the side. Laxing's going to get 1 on the Lion. A 5-on-2 at the moment as Laxing gets another. We're going to see Lion drop. He gets on in. He's not seeing anyone just yet. Fighter gets taken up by Crisco from the drop hedge. He's going to move on down into the middle offices. Coming from the side, Bosco moves on in. He gets Anthrax. He's going to get Lion as well. It's a 3-on-2. Elevates up in man count. He gets another. It's a 3-on-1. Could it be all? It's all up to Furious G. He's caught in the back window. Laxing moves on in. He's going to get the kill.
So the 10-0 in Elevate's favor. The North Americans got 1-up over Europe as a region. They got a 1-up over the team that eliminated them in the last Pro League finals. And they got a 1-up in life, lifting up the first and only Six Invitational for console Siege. This is a big deal. 1, because it gets to prove that NA is superior to EU, which, love that. But also, ironically enough, the parallels of the first year of Rainbow Six Pro League on PC and console are actually mirrored. Europe dominated on PC for Season 1 and Season 2, and it wasn't until the advent of Continuum in Season 3 and into the Six Invitational that NA started competing and actually pushing Europe back on the mouse and keyboard. For console, it was the inverse. It was NA dominating Season 1 and Season 2. And in Season 3, it was Vitality and Supremacy putting NA in its place. The only difference in this ending is that for the Six Invitational, for the first ever Six Invitational, it was a North American sweep. Near airport. More like, fuck. Regardless, this is where the story ends, for better and for worse, because Ubisoft and ESL decided that a console Pro League was not the direction they wanted to go heading into the future of Siege, heading into year 2. And that meant that the console Pro League circuit was discontinued. And while, yes, we still have console Siege, you look at Jinxie and you can see that, all right? You see that guy's stream numbers? They are insane. But as far as competitive console Siege goes, it's dead. You're going to run some T3, T4 tournaments, but it's only a grassroots movement. It's never going to hit the same prestige as it once did in year 1. For Elevate, Save Fighter, they continue on onto PC. You see Bosco, Skies, Laxing, Easily, and England move on to PC and qualify for the next Pro League Finals under the same Elevate banner and end up against Penta, which, if you want more info on Penta and how they got their start as the Dynasty, check out my past vid. Console Siege is a timepiece. It's a 1-year stint of one of the most interesting FPSs that you can see on console, in part due to its lack of aim assist, in part due to its clear diamond in the rough qualities of just being Siege in year 1. It's just this weird moment frozen in time, encapsulated, that nobody really talks about, but it actually has some of the most interesting storylines, like seeing Elevate get this 10-0 revenge sweep at the Six Invitational. It kicks off some of the most interesting stories and some of the most interesting careers that we have in Rainbow Six, like Laxing, like Skies. And I think while it may not be the pinnacle of competition compared to mouse and keyboard, there's plenty of enjoyment to get out of this tournament if you want to go back and watch it. If you want to watch 2 standout matches, just narrow it down to 2, which, by the way, a BO3 back in year 1 Siege was an hour and a half, so you're not going to have to go through a 3-hour VOD for this. The first match that I would recommend, highly recommend, is Lethal Gaming versus Vitality. Like I mentioned earlier, best match of a tournament, most exciting match of a tournament, 10 out of 10 would recommend. It's just a fun first-person shooter esports match. The second match I would recommend, as just a fan of Siege and as a fan of history, is the 10-0 masterclass that Elevate puts on over Vitality in the Grand Finals. It's just one of those things that you have to watch if you're a fan of the game. And it's entertaining in how Elevate's stomping Vitality, especially because the casters allude to the fact that Elevate put in a lot of work and had their sights set almost solely on Vitality. That's where their headset was at. That's where their minds were at. That's where their headspace was at heading into this tournament, was fuck Vitality, and you can see it. So it's just a very entertaining time. But yeah,